Where does the situation seem headed right now? The Greek Parliament has to vote for their budget for 2013. The Eurozone finance ministers are meeting on Monday to decide on what needs to be done. What do you think is likely to happen in the next week?
As far as the present outlook is concerned,
Yeah.
for the near future,
Yeah.
it appears it is not likely to improve much. But at the same time, if there are certain steps which are being taken, I'm sure by 2013 there will be some recovery in Eurozone and in the world economy as well.
Okay.
What is most important in my opinion, the economies which were miracle economies at the turn of the millennium have become miserable, or as we call basket economy. From hero to zero kind of situation that needs to be converted from zero to hero. What is most important in my opinion is that Standard and Poor's and other international rating agencies need to be very transparent on what basis they are downgrading various economies.
Okay.
When they start downgrading, they downgraded United States, they downgraded France, they downgraded other economies of Eurozone, they downgraded, they come out and say, well, India may be a junk, put into a junk economy. Now, that situation means that is affecting the larger sections of sentiments. The international flows of capital immediately are very adversely affected by that. They need to be very transparent. They need to really warn economies if they are to downgrade any economy for any reason that you improve, take necessary steps and do it so that sentiments are not affected adversely. That's one of the most. And secondly, so once this is transparent, they know how they are grading economies, then the economies can take care of the fact that those parameters are satisfied and their governance is improved. That's important. At the same time, what we need is banking sector reforms are needed in the whole Eurozone. An appropriate regulatory mechanism need to be put in place, and this European Central Bank need to come in and ensure that that regulatory mechanism is maintained. Fiscal consolidation is another important aspect which each economy of the Eurozone need to very carefully, do.
Okay.
I think these are some of the things which I feel are very important.
Transparency of the rating
And of course, the
that's
last
very
one
important.
is that give an injection of investment, either through FDI
Okay.
or through, internal domestic
Okay.
resources.
Okay. Mr. Sarkar, it's almost time for me to wind up, so I'll ask you to have the last word. Your assessment, what does the near-term outlook for the European economy looks like, and also its impact on India, considering that Europe has become India's largest trading partner?
Well, it is make it short. I don't think in near term European economy is going to make a good turnover. It is in a crisis, and I think for the next 1 year, if even it has to come out of the crisis, say in 2014, it has to look for ways how to do it. So it has to go on having prescription for that.
Okay.
On Indian economy, well, it is going to have tremendous impact. Number one, as euro plummets, dollar is strengthened fast. Gold becomes more expensive. That is another aspect. And as dollar becomes more expensive, international trade becomes very expensive. India's imports, and we are having more imports than exports. So our imports will become more expensive. And the result will be there can be more inflation. What the inflation that is there in Europe, it has gone to a very high level. Indian inflation is also not at a very low level. It is around 10%, it may go up. So these are the immediate concerns that India has. So the disaster of Europe can impact India in many ways because Europe also happens to be the largest trade partner for India.
Yeah.
So for India, we have to get out of a situation. We have to possibly firewall India in many ways from these various global economies and create new strengths elsewhere and within the domestic front, which we are possibly not trying to do. We need to learn from the failures of Europe and the US. And we need to find out new ways. What we're talking about reforms is virtually following the same junk prescriptions that US and Europe have been following. We need to get those up. And we need to create a situation where, we're looking for FDI. We do not really need FDI. If you look at Indian economy, we have almost 9 plus crore rupees of cash reserves with the private corporate and public sector corporate. 2 lakh crore with the public sector corporate and 7 lakh crore with the private sector cost.
Okay.
So 9 lakh crore reserves are there, just idle. We do not need FDI because FDI is also very expensive and it has its other powers.
Okay.
So if you can look at these aspects, we are talking often of labor reforms, and that means throw the labor out. Instead of that, create labor as a resource. Make them feel that they are contributing to the productivity. Give them that feeling and give them that honor. We are not doing that. We need to do that. Europe has failed on that. We should not fail on that. On social sector measures, we need to invest a lot, but we also have to think of the kind of fiscal deficit that we are having, and high borrowings we are having. How long we can sustain programs like NREG? Because there is a total drain on the economy. We are not creating any wealth from that.
Yeah.
So we have to relook at all these aspects if we want India not to go the European way.
Okay. There are lessons in Europe's situation for India which India must pick up. I'm afraid that's all I have time for in this edition of Insight. Mr. S.P. Sharma, Professor J.D.Agarwal, Mr. Shival Sattar. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jarvis.
That's all we have time for in this edition of Insight. Thank you so much for watching us. Do stay tuned to look.